Hello everyone. You may remember way back in season 1 of Boater Cooks Something, episode 11, where I made my grandmother's tomato sauce. And what that episode actually was an overly long, drawn out gag where I threw in the entire spice cabinet. My grandmother passed away last year, and as kind of a celebration of her, I wanted to actually pass on her tomato sauce recipe to all of you. This is especially useful because last week someone, instead of using tomato sauce, used a bunch of spaghetti sauce, so I need to replenish that stock. So yeah, let's get to it then. Let's make my grandmother's tomato sauce. I'm Boater, let's cook something. Okay, so this is an episode where, you know, it's interesting because it's kind of like a serious subject matter, sort of, but, you know, we're still gonna be lighthearted, we're still gonna have fun. And so, constituent tracker, if you could...
Actually, since we're talking family,
yeah?
I was hoping, from here on, to be named after my mother.
Yeah, by all means. What does that make you?
Ingredient for Junior. If that's all right with you.
Of course it is.
Thanks, Mom.
Junior, welcome to Boater Cooks Something. I am very happy to have you here on this special family episode. Junior, if you could tell us what we're going to need for my grandmother's tomato sauce.
2 teaspoons of minced garlic. 1 28-ounce can of tomato puree.
You can use tomato puree, or if you want a slightly thicker sauce, you can use crushed tomatoes, and that's what I'm going to be using today. I had 3 cans that are getting close to their expiry dates, so we're going to use this up. I'm actually going to be making a triple batch, but the ingredients that Junior is giving you is for a single batch. I'm going to make a triple batch and then freeze some of it for future use.
1 tablespoon of sugar.
By my grandmother's own words, yes, sugar. It gets a bit, because the tomato base is a bit tart, and sugar. Be careful with that.
1 tablespoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of pepper. 1 tablespoon of basil. 1 tablespoon of parsley.
Okay, let's get going. It's on the floor. The first thing we're going to do is that we are going to have a pot on medium heat. We are going to saute this garlic to start out. We're going to use olive oil ideally, but if you have like canola oil or something else, that's fine too. We're just definitely estimating the amount here. Wait for that to warm up and then we'll put in the garlic. Originally from her, she said 2 teaspoons of garlic. I like garlic, so I'm doing 1 tablespoon of garlic, which is just a little bit more. And again, that is per can of tomato base that you're using. So for us today, that's gonna be 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. Spread around your garlic first. Get that all to a point where it can start sauteing in there. I didn't exactly wait for the oil to totally heat up, so that's fine, we'll let it be in there. And I'll wash this so I can use it more. You can cut. All right, that's starting to simmer in there, and importantly, we can smell the garlic. So to me, that says, now's the time to chuck in the tomato base. So again, we are doing a triple batch, so that is 1, stir, 2, 3. Maybe making sure not to splash it. Maybe, you know, whatever. Have fun, do your thing. Cooking should be fun. And we're going to return this to a boil. So we're gonna turn up our heat to about medium high. I can't honestly say that I got my love of cooking from my grandmother. We didn't really do a lot of cooking together. I had to almost beg her just to get the sauce and meatball recipe. I tend to make the sauce more, and my sister Jen tends to make meatballs more. Still, like, food and grandma were always intertwined. Like Easter, we would always go to her place for Easter, and it wouldn't be like an Easter ham or something like that. It would be lasagna, or for those of us that, you know, when we were too young to really like lasagna, it would be, you know, the ziti and meatballs with this sauce. You know, she would, you know, and when we stayed over at her place, we would do like fried bread dough in the morning, and it was just the best thing. So I can't say that I got a love of cooking from Grandma, but definitely a love of food and a lot of things that she made. And you know, there's always this, oh, it's a family recipe, so pass it down to your kids. And I don't plan on having kids, but I still, you know, I want to pass down something of her legacy. So it's for you guys, viewers. So now that the tomato base has been going, let's add a bit more now. Is that you? Is that? That's an interesting sound of boiling down there. I'm not going to include that. That's like disconcerting. It sounded like when there's a toilet in the building that flushes and you just hear it going through the pipes. The bubbling down here sounded like water going through pipes. So we're going to stir this up a bit because it was starting to get hot and try to boil at the bottom and just would have been messy as it blubbed on through. We are going to do 3 tablespoons of sugar. Again, that is 1 per can of the tomato sauce there. Actually, I can tell that you're trying to bubble a lot and make more of a mess. So we're going to turn you back down to medium because there's no sense in rushing this. This is something that is going to be sitting for at least an hour. So if you are planning on doing this with dinner tonight, maybe start at like 3 o'clock or something. It is, well, 2 o'clock right now, and it's going to be for dinner tonight. 3 tablespoons. Well, we're going to count that for 1.5 tablespoons. And a little bit more. Yeah, sure, that all seems fine. Put that away before it gets the chance to be messy on me again. Stirred up in there. Good, good. Next, salt and pepper. 1 tablespoon per can of tomato, so that is 1, 2, 3. And then the pepper is 1 teaspoon per can of tomato base. 3 teaspoons is a tablespoon, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. You might remember of the previous episode that I did this. I did the whole big gag of all the spices in there, and then at the end I said, too much pepper. That was actually me honestly refining it. There was actually too much pepper because I had done an equal amount of that as the salt. So we're just gonna cut that down a little bit, a little. Pepper always looks like a lot when you put it on top of everything there, but stir it in and it's fine. And I have the bonus of it smells good and it smells like my grandmother's house half the time that I was there. Not to say that she always had, you know, a pot of sauce being made, but every now and then, well, it's time to stock up, get a big old thing of sauce going and put that into like margarine tubs to give to us to, you know, freeze and be able to use for the next month, and a whole bunch for herself. When I'm making this much, yes, I'm gonna use some of it for dinner tonight, but I'm gonna end up freezing a bunch of it into, you know, Tupperwares and such, so that this is going to last me for pasta for quite a while, including when I do the sausage and pasta 1 skillet thing and use this instead of more expensive store-bought stuff. More expensive and not as good. Personal take, but the correct one. I've turned that back down to low. It is going to simmer for 10-15 minutes, and then we'll add in the last couple of things. But try to keep that from boiling over and start to find something else to do, because this is something that you can do while you're preparing something else. She wrote in a notepad document a few things for me. There are so many versions of meatballs and sauce. Some cook it for hours. She says, really not required, but it doesn't hurt. If you ever see pork chops Southern style ribs on sale, don't buy the expensive ribs. Just buy some, brown them first, and then put those in the sauce. Especially like if you're making meatballs along with it, then they're going to add some of their taste to the sauce. If you want to throw in, you know, some sausage or something like that, if you make something like by bone-in pork chops and just decide to make boneless chops, just take the bones, throw them in there after you brown them a little bit. Like, just many different things that you can take a meat and add it to the sauce as well. Or if you're vegetarian, don't worry about it. Without adding any of that, this is still for you. I believe back when I did chicken riggies, the episode after the grandma sauce episode, we had someone who was vegetarian, and we used like kind of a vegetarian version of riggy sauce for him. But sometimes what I'll do instead is that I will just have some of my grandmother's sauce pre-made, so that if someone is vegetarian or can't have dairy, actually I've had people over before that couldn't have dairy, and then you can't really have a cream sauce with that either. And this is always a good fallback for that kind of thing too. If you're making a fancier pasta, having this is good for people with dietary restrictions, because it's good for basically all of that. Anyway, I'll come back to that in a few more minutes when that is done simmering. I'm trying not to make this one of those things where like you look up a recipe online and then like, oh, well, here's the story of the recipe and whatever, and then you get like tiny little recipe at the bottom. But that's kind of what this is. Like, there's not a lot to this, but I don't know. I'm sharing grandma with everybody, so it's one of those recipes, I guess. Why did I pick up a rubber band? All right, so I actually just turned that down to medium-low because we do want a slow boil on this right now. Just trying to get the salt, the sugar, the pepper to be able to spread throughout it. And we can give that a really quick taste. And it tastes good. No, pepper amount is right, but it's not quite Italian tomato sauce. And obviously what we need for that is some sort of additional spice. And that is what the basil and parsley are for. We'll wash the finger first. We are going to be using a lot of this because we're doing the triple batch. So 3 tablespoons of each today. 1, 2, 3. Stirred in. That's our parsley. At this point we can turn this down to a simmer. We're not looking to like totally cook out the basil and parsley into the rest of the sauce. It's just going to be additional pieces of flavor scattered throughout. Especially since you're probably going to be like freezing and reheating this to some extent. Like, definitely don't let the basil and parsley cook down too much into the sauce to start out with. I am going to let this simmer for an hour so that it gets some of that taste into there, but then I'll let it cool. Have a little bit warmed back up for dinner tonight, and the rest is gonna get frozen. Basil time. And frankly, you could probably have this right now. Maybe give it just 10 minutes at a simmer. You know, now is when you throw in your meatballs or sausage that you might be having with dinner as well. I'm not gonna be doing that tonight, but that's fine. That's when you can if you wish. It looks like a lot, but you stir it in and it's fine. And it's just the proper amount of those flavors. How about a taste right now? Get a little bit right there. Yep, that's it. That's my grandma's sauce. Like I said, I'm going to let this simmer for a bit more. That's it. You saute some garlic, you toss in your tomato stuff, toss in the first round of spices, your salt, pepper, and sugar. Low boil for 15 minutes maybe, and then toss in your basil and parsley. That's it. I guess this is one of those episodes that's a lot of like story and fluff around the recipe, but that's fine. Get that down to low, and we'll just let that simmer covered until I'm done with it. That's it. It's not a hard recipe to do, but it is still one that means a lot to me. Clearly, and I wanted to share it with you guys. My grandmother was a wonderful person, and she made wonderful food. And now I bequeath a little bit of that, a little bit of what she means to me, onto all of you guys. So thank you for watching. Ingredient Board Junior.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
I am happy that I could contribute.
Ingredient Board the First. Thank you for all that you've done for the series over the past 36 episodes, 5-6 years, however long we've been doing this.
8 years. And you're very welcome.
And thank you to you guys. I wouldn't have come back to this after 4 years if it wasn't something that I enjoyed and I knew that you enjoyed. So thank you for watching. If you are subscribed, thank you for that. If not, that's fine, but maybe give it a shot. It's gonna be a little bit till more Butter Cook Something comes out. I need to get, we'll say, at least half a dozen recipes before I'm comfortable saying, hey, we'll do more of these, but it's definitely not off the table. And if you have family recipes that you want to share and you want me to potentially do them on here, you know, no promises, but by all means send them to me. I'd love to try them out and see if it's something that would do well for this series right here. Thank you for watching. Do that whole subscribe, support, whatever if you really want. Follow me on social media at facebook.com/buttercooksomething and a whole bunch of stuff /butterbug. Yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying the food I make and for letting me share it with you. Send me the stuff you make and share it with me if you want. And I will see you next time. Bye everyone.